Hey, what is up, guys? It's me, Parksy here, your coach of the Armados, bringing back the smash today here for DGBA Season 9, week number 8, where your Armados are going to be taking on JJ Gals and the DC Umbreon, and we are currently 5-2 with a plus 14 differential, whereas I believe he is 3-4 with a minus 6 differential, which is kind of interesting, looking just at his team in general, but we'll get into it in a little bit. If you guys haven't already, make sure to go check out the previous games. They will be linked in this card coming up right now, and you can go and check out the previous games, see how I got my record, because spoilers, you better have watched that video. I did actually lose last week to KHD due to some unfortunate just hacks in general, but I mean that's part of the game, so I can't really complain too much, but of course I will complain. So anyway, we're going to be going up against JJ Gals, and he has got a very threatening team, as always, and I pretty much said in every video there is one or two things I do like to pick out about my opponent's team and try and abuse, and JJ, even though his team is very well built, there are a few notable things that I can try and exploit about his team. So anyway, my team is Crobat, Azelf, Alolan Persian, Heliolisk, Zygarde 50%, Mega Scizor, Volcanion, Chestnut, Sylveon, Swampert, and Aurorus, whereas he has got a 10 Pokemon draft with access to Darkrai, which is no Z and no Nasty Plot, and I am going to say those restrictions because I believe I missed some of them previously. I definitely know week 1 I missed my Deoxys speed restrictions, but I can't use Z moves, I can't use Nasty Plot, so that makes it a little bit more balanced. And then there's also Nihilego, Flygon, Mega Metacham, Suicune, Mesprit, Diggersby, Roselia, Scizor, and Clefable. So a very threatening team. I think that JJ's done very well in this draft by being able to have access to some very potent threats. I mean, really, all of the Pokemon on his team, maybe barring the Roselia, can come every single week, pretty much, which is very, very daunting, as well as also the fact that Roselia still does give his team a surprising amount of utility for how low a cost, being able to have access to spikes, both grass type toxic spikes, another grounded poison type that can absorb toxic spikes if I decide to set them up. Well, not me, because I don't have that access to my team, but speaking from an opponent wise, so he definitely has that option as well. But there are a few things you can notice about his team. So firstly, his only Pokemon, Pokemon above base 100 are the Darkrai and the Heligo. So that's very interesting to note off the bat, that he doesn't have really anything that can outspeed my Crobat, and he also might have to bring a Choice Scarfer just to try and outspeed some things like my Azelf and my Alolan Persian, which can give him problem because it allows basically me to have the speed advantage versus him just on the offset. So he might bring something like Scarf and Heligo to compensate for that. That could definitely be an option. He also doesn't have a fire type, if you notice, across his draft, and that is going to make my Mega Scizor very, very useful versus his team, as that means that he pretty much has he doesn't have any access to stab fire, and a fire type is a very good, probably the best response both offensively and defensively to a Mega Scizor, so that's taken into consideration. That is very useful as well. Plus also just some of his more general walls, like the Suicune and Mesprit, they don't have access to reliable recovery, and due to Clefable being his only Wish Passer, which about 90% of the time doesn't want to run Wish, it really means that those walls can be weakened a lot. So I am actually going to get into the team builder. The first Pokemon I've decided to bring is the Mega Scizor, and I'm hoping for no microphone issues because I know it was crackling a little bit at the start of the previous week. I'm also hoping that my laptop doesn't crash, because it has been previously, but I'm pretty sure I've cleared it out, so all should be good. But anyway, so this is going to be my Mega Scizor for the week. Bug Bite, Bullet Punch, Roost, and Sword Stance is an incredible threat versus this team again. No stab fire attacks means this Pokemon can pretty much live ahead versus the entirety of his team, since the best coverage he gets is Flamethrower and a few things, and Hidden Power Fire mostly, in the case of like Mesprit that he might want to try and lure in this Mega Scizor with. But Yeah, just a really good Pokemon. I can even actually set up on the Suicune with this set, due to the fact that even though he can't Skull Burn me at +6 with Burn, I can still do about 50% damage with the Bug Bite, which is going to be very nice, allowing me to pretty much 1v1 the Suicune. And of course, he can pressure stall me out of Sword Stances, since pressure only works for attacking moves. I do have Roost there again to help me deal with the Suicune, and also have reliable recovery. And then I've got Bull Punch, of course, as expected, really good priority versus team, allows me to defend against a potential Scarf and Heligo that could be a threat, and also something like a Sword Stance, Darkrai, or just Life Orb, since he can have items, so he could bring something like a Life Orb, Darkrai, an Expert Belt, Choice Specs. There's really a lot of scary Darkrai options that he can bring that this can respond to as well. Also helps me do really nice damage to the Medicham and also the Flagon, which is actually a decent threat versus my team. So that's pretty much it. For the Mega Scizor, just have speed to be able to help outspeed a few members of his team, most notably things like the Suicune, and also I do have the Adamant Nature with max attack, because of course we are trying to get the maximum damage output as we can. So that's pretty much it for the Mega Scizor. The next Pokemon of my team is going to be Swampert, and we're not going to be calling it Grundy. I know I've called it Grundy for pretty much the entirety of my games, but since Grundy did such a bad job for me versus KHD, not being able to set up the Stealth Rocks, which otherwise would have probably won me the game, I instead have relegated it now to just Born on a Monday, because it can earn its name back in this game. Okay, that's the offer I'm giving it. So basically, it's just a really nice defensive wall, allowing me to respond to the Scizor while also being a pseudo response to the Flagon, and also in an emergency situation being able to take a hit from the Mega Medicham. This might also be one of my better responses to the Heligo if he is going to be running a Hidden Power Fire variant to hit the Mega Scizor instead of Hidden Power Ice. Although I think that Hidden Power Ice is better for the Zygarde due to the fact that it can live its priority options a lot better, due to Zygarde only being able to have access to extreme speed, and of course in Heligo is just going to completely get bopped by a Bullet Punch. So I think it's going to be Hidden Power Ice. It could also be Grass Knot, but if it doesn't, then my Swampert is going to be really nice. Now Heligo in this game just really it has a lot of 4 move slot syndrome, since it would like Toxic Spikes versus my team. It might also be a Stealth Rocker, since things like Clefable and Mesprit don't exactly want to bring Stealth Rocks. It has to run things like Hidden Power Ice to hit my Zygarde, hit Grass Knot to hit my Swampert, Hidden Power Fire to hit my Mega Scizor, Power Gem to hit my Crobat, Sludge Weave to hit my Sylveon. That could potentially be Hidden Power Ground as well. So there's a lot of things that it really has to take into consideration, and this Swampert could also be a good response to it. But again, just a very standard Swampert. Really don't feel the need to switch it up. Just Earthquake, Scald, Stealth Rocks, and Toxic. Very good versus this team. Yeah, nothing much really to say. Just a nice bulky Pokemon that can also fire off some Skull Burns if needs be, because that will be quite good in this game. I also have Toxic, because if I can lure the Suicune in and get a Toxic on as it goes for the substitute, then that is going to make it a lot easier to deal with. Basically, this team is just around pressuring the Suicune bring that I do expect, as well as the unaware Clefable. That is also a very, very likely option for the responding to Zygarde, and even being able to take a hit from a Sword Stance Mega Scizor and fire off a really powerful Fire Blast. So next up is the Zygarde. We have got Ground DMZ on this set, and this Zygarde is not running Dragon Dance. Well, actually no, we do have Dragon Dance. Sorry, I got it mixed up with the previous one, but this has got Dragon Dance. But what I meant to say is this isn't going to be the win con. It can be a win con, but I'm not going into the game with it in my mindset. This is basically just going to be a good way to pressure the Clefable and the Suicune to kind of force them in. Sorry if you heard a little bit of racketing. It was moved my foot down a little bit, but this pretty much is just there to kind of lure in the Clefable, lure in the Suicune, lure in the Mesprit, and be able to get a Toxic off on all those Pokemon that can potentially be responsive to my Mega Scizor. This is a very good breaker, and is why I ultimately decided to have the core of Zygarde Mega Scizor on my team, is because they can really pressure water types so well for each other, and especially in this game where Suicune is only going to have leftovers recovery as pretty much its only option, then yeah, this Zygarde is just going to be really good. +1 Ground DMZ does about 50% to Suicune with the 1000 hours, so that's great. Also, if you notice about his team, he doesn't actually have any 1000 hours resistances, because again, we're fighting another opponent where his grass type has also got mixed in a type that is weak to ground, that case being Roselia, and he has other things like Scizor as well, so he really doesn't have any resistances to Thousand Hours. However, he just does have good bulky pivots. Like Clefable can take hits, Suicune can take hits, and the just all the other Pokemon that I previously mentioned. So really being able to pressure him down with Toxic, and abusing the fact that if Clefable has to come, then it's going to be an Unaware Wish variant, and that's the worst case scenario. Then I can still get off Toxic. It's just really pressure his team down that way. As the next Pokemon on my team is Sylveon. Again, if Clefable isn't Wish, then this is going to be really good versus this team. If it still is Wish, then I can still play the long game with my team due to the fact that I do have access to a lot of Toxic spammers. Already I showed you 2 in my Zygarde and my Swampert, but yeah, the Sylveon's really good. It can be a lure for the Scizor, sorry, since I can easily live a Choice Band Bullet Punch with my HP and defense investment, and I've got Hidden Power Fire to be able to do a massive amount of to Scizor, pretty much enough so that it can never set up a Swords Dance free up on my Sylveon. And then I've got Hyper Voice. Hyper Voice is nice again for breaking through the substitute of the Suicune, being able to get off some true damage versus it and really pressure it, since I think something like a Sub-Cam Mind, Scald, Hidden Power Ground Suicune is his most likely variant that he's going to bring. And again, we just got the Protect and the Wish. This is also probably going to be one of my better responses to the Mega Champ that he brings, so I really had to be careful of that. Pretty much nothing else to say, just a very standard Sylveon that again is really, really good at forming a defensive core with Swampert. Again, Sylveon Swampert, just such a good defensive core. If any of you guys are considering using it in a Gen 8 draft, you might want to replace Swampert with Seismitoad, just because Seismitoad is a little bit better now to gaining a Power Whip. And Dracofish exists in that meta, contrary to this one, but again, just Sylveon and a Water Ground type, really good combination. I would highly recommend. The next member of my team is Volcanion. Very, very odd set. So again, his Dragon type, it can't really take Water type attacks due to it also being a Ground type. I'm referring to Flygon. So I could run a Choice Spec set again that would pressure the Suicune, but if I run a Choice Spec set, I do run the risk of being set up fodder for the Calm Mind Suicune, and again, Calm Mind Suicune is going to be really annoying, especially if it can Skull Burn the final member of my team, which would be my other response otherwise. But this is a really good response to it, because with its HP and Spadaf investments, I can take 2+1 Hidden Power Grounds from it. I do have enough speed to outspeed most variants as well, most bulkier variants, and if it's not a bulky variant, if it's running quite a lot of speed, for example, then it just basically doesn't have as much bulk, meaning things like my Sylveon, can weaken it down quicker into range of things like my Zygarde, if it is going to turn into the Wincon. But I have got Roar, Scald, substituting Toxic. This is going to be my anti-measure versus the Suicune, since I can set up a substitute and as he's Calm Minding, I can just roar him out, and yeah, I can fire off a Toxic if needs be, if he just wants to start setting up Calm Minds on me. So I really do have a lot of options. This Pokemon also serves just as a really good response and wall to his team as well, being able to take hits very well from the Scizor, most notably being able to 4 times resist this Bullet Punch, which is a pretty big threat versus my team. So that's pretty much it. I also forgot to mention the Zygarde speed investment allows me to outspeed a max speed Scizor, so that's something that I felt was necessary to speed creep. As the next member of my team is a Sharkbeak Crobat. Help me out versus Dave, so I just wanted to bring it again, as the investment on this Pokemon basically means that I can outspeed the entirety of his team, barring Choice Scarfers. He might bring something like a Choice Scarf Darkrai just to patch up his holes, even though I think that Scarf and Heligo, if he is going to bring it, is a bit more likely. But anyway, just Crobat's really good versus his team. Again, with Infiltrator, I can deal about 30 to 35% of damage to Suicune, which is incredible, being able to chip it down again for some other members of my team. I do have Default because he does have access to Hazard Stack with the Roselia, and I don't want to I don't want to underappreciate the fact that Roselia can potentially hazard stack me. I do want to respect the fact that I can and bring a response, since again I've already clarified this, but I'd rather bring responses to hazard stack than not bring responses and of course get hazard stacked. Rather than bring it and just realizing my opponent actually hasn't brought any hazards, like quite a few of them haven't. But if it was just got roost, again, Crobat might also be taking 1 or 2 hits from his team. I could see him being able to be a pseudo switch into the Darkrai if I really need to keep something like my Sylveon healthy. So that might be the case, and I just have U-turn again for some nice momentum, as I believe it's the only momentum user on my team, and I did really want to have some momentum on my team. So Crobat, it's a good 6 slot user, so I just decided to bring it. And again, I just bring some really good natural resistances in this game. So with that said, the team that I have got is a Mega Scizor, Swampert, Zygarde, Sylveon, Volcanion, and Crobat, and my opponent's team that I expect him to bring is a Clefable, again unaware, being very good versus my team. If he is going to bring some sort of Clefable variant, I think he's going to bring Soft Boil, Stealth Rocks, Fire Blast, or Moon Blast, or else just the 2 coverage moves plus the Wish and Protect. If he's going to bring, oh wait, he can't bring Soft Boiled. I forgot, it's unaware. So yeah, probably a Wish Protect, Fire Blast, Moon Blast variant. Just really good bulky pivot versus my team. Really nice with his fairy typing, meaning that he can have a nice response to my Zygarde if I do decide to lock into a dragon type attack. There's pretty much nothing else to say. It can also be Stealth Rock if he decides to bring it and just bring Mono Fairy attack as well. It could also be a Cosmic Power variant. It could be Calm Mind. There's a lot of options, and Clefable is pretty much the scariest member of his team just due to its sheer diversity. So yeah. Clefable is number 1. I think that Darkrai also is a very good bring for him, as it's just so naturally fast. It's an absolute powerhouse. I believe it has like base 135 special attack, something along those lines. Maybe it's 125, but nonetheless, things like Dark Pulse, Sludge Bomb is really scary. I can also have access to things like, I believe, Ice Beam from my Zygarde, Thunderbolt from my Volcanion, Incinerate from my Mega Scizor. So it's got a lot of options there, and due to its natural bulk, it can take things like a +1 E-Speed from my Zygarde and Bullet Punch from my Scizor if it comes down to it. So yeah, it's just pretty much his best offensive threat, and the combination of Darkrai and the next member of his team, Mega Medicham, pretty much there is no switchings to those two throughout the entirety of the meta. So yeah, that's going to be fun to face. Mega Medicham again, it's just a Mega Medicham. Very hard to switch into, as well as the fact that my Azelf pretty much is not going to be appreciating a high jump kick. I'm pretty sure it takes about 60% from it, so it's not a bulky psychic whatsoever under any stretch of the imagination. So something like a fake out high jump kick, Zen Headbutt, Bullet Punch variant is pretty likely. He could also swap out the Bullet Punch for the Poison Jab if he wants to hit my Sylveon harder. But yeah, Mega Medicham really forces me to play in an aggressive manner to try and outplay it pretty much. And is a very good breaker for the Darkrai, as it can pressure my Sylveon to come in. Next member of his team is Suicune. Again, just a really nice response to both my Mega Scizor and my Zygarde. It also can be a really nice Calm Mind user with Hidden Power Ground and Scald. And yeah, it's just really good bulky water. Scizor is the next member of his team. I do think it comes as a choice band Pokemon with Bullet Punch, U-Turn, Superpower, and something else like knockoff maybe, but it could also be some sort of SD variant. SD Fightinium Z or Buginium Z is also a very likely option that I can see, allowing him some breaking power versus my Volcanion if needs be. But yeah, Scizor is just a really good offensive threat versus my team. And finally is Mesprit. Mesprit I just think comes as a really good 6 slot user, being able to have access to Ice Beam to pressure my Zygarde, as well as Hidden Power Fire potentially from my Mega Scizor. It can set up Stealth Rocks. It can be a Healing Wish user. It gets access to momentum with U-Turn. It can also pressure my Crobat, which is a pretty good offensive member versus this team. But yeah, I think the Mesprit's nice, as well as it also being able to just generally take a hit versus my team that he might very much appreciate. But without further ado, let's get into the battle. Alright guys, so we are here and back with the battle. So it kind of brought a team that I was expecting. I mean, there's definitely a few differences. I got 4 out of 6 of the Pokemon right, which, I mean, I don't know if that's that great, but I mean, at least we got some of them right. So pretty much he brings the Nihilego and the DGBA, as you can see, instead of what I expected to be the Clefable and the Mesprit. So that means really a few things for his team. Firstly, it means that he's confident that the Suicune can be a response to the Zygarde, so that's alright, because I know that once I can get the Suicune weakened down, my Toxic Lure variant of Zygarde, I can actually be able to do some really nice work with it with my Mega Scizor, or else I can just break my Mega Scizor for my Zygarde instead of Dragon Dance. Really, either or is a good option. It also means that he's probably going to be running some sort of Stealth Rock, maybe Choice Scarf variant of Nihilego. It could be a Hazard Stack Focus Sash lead. I'm not entirely too sure, but pretty much it means that Nihilego is his only Stealth Rocker, so that's definitely interesting to note. But the Diggersby in the back is going to be very annoying, and of course the Mega Medicham is always going to be a pain to play against. In fact, with at least my early game plan, basically, I need to make sure that I have Pokemon out that can threaten Mega Medicham, so that when they fire off attack, the Mega Medicham can't come in for free. So that being things like my Crobat, making sure that that's in, making sure that my Sylveon's in, even maybe Volcanion, just to scare it out with a Skull Burn potential. So it's really making sure that I can just move my pieces around in a strategic and logical way. So I'm going to lead off with my Crobat here. Again, if he leads off with a Mega Medicham, expecting my Swamp lead, I can get off some aggressive momentum with a U-turn. If he goes out with another lead, then I can do pretty well against it, because again, my Crobat can outspeed all members of his team. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and start off with the battle, as he actually is going to lead off with the Suicune. So you might have expected my Swampert lead, try to set up an early substitute, but anyway, I'm going to go out into my Crobat here, as he is going to exert the pressure. So this is really nice, because I can fire off things like Brave Birds. I'm just going to go for the U-turn here, expecting him to go for the Skull, because my Crobat is a very valuable member at responding to the Darkrai and the Mega Medicham, and if it's burnt, then it's not going to be able to fulfill those duties as well. So I go into my Volcanion, expecting the Skull, and we do take it, now expecting him to use this as some sort of setup fodder. I expect him to either go for the substitute of the Calm Mind here, as he is going to go for the substitute. This allows me a substitute of my own, and this is great, because if he isn't a Hidden Power Ground variant of Suicune, then this pretty much means that my Volcanion is going to be able to do a huge amount of work versus his team. I can pretty much just set up a substitute here and get off a free Skull, as here he's going to go for the Protect. That doesn't matter, because I'm going to go for the Roar, and pretty much over these turns I'm going to be able to pretty much gain the entirety of my health back, which is going to be very nice, as here we drag in one of his biggest threats in the Darkrai, and I am fully okay with just firing off very free Scald here, as even if the Suicune comes back in, I can still roar it out, and I can get off burn damage that negates its leftover recovery. Just going to go here with the Thunderbolts with the Darkrai. I'm going to go for a Scald here, because I don't want it to set up a potential Swords Dance, as unfortunately I do get the Skull Burn, so I do apologize to my opponent for that. Not really sure how much it would have mattered in the end game though, as here he's just going to take some burn damage and pretty much be in range of the second Scald, as he does reveal to be a Life Orb variant as well, so I know he's not Choice Scarf, or I know that he's not some sort of Expert Belt, so that's going to be nice, as here just in the space of 2 turns he is going to go from 100% down to 23. So yeah, we've done really well awakening this Darkrai into range of, at the very worst, extreme speed Zygardes, as here he's going to be forced to switch out into the Scizor. I'm just going to fire a Wish Up into the air, pretty much being able to respond to any of his aggressive switchings. I didn't expect him in the Heligo, so I could have got a Wish into my Zygarde if that was the play I decided to go with, since Zygarde due to his natural can live Hidden Power Ice. As here he is going to go out to the Suicune, making a very nice Scout play for the Hidden Power Fire. I decided to go for it, since, I mean, I do have the upper hand in this match already. His Darkrai is pretty much done for, and I'm okay with revealing that I have Hidden Power Fire and getting outplayed there, just because the potential risk I definitely pay. Well, it wasn't even a risk really, it was just I didn't want him to set up an SD basically. So here, expecting the Toxic, I go out to my Crobat, as here I can get off some really nice pressure versus him, as he is going to fire off a protect. It might be trying to stall out some of my moves, but fortunately Brave Bird and U-turn do have pretty good PP. I believe U-turn's 24 and Brave Bird 16. I might be wrong on that, but nonetheless, I'm not going to be stalled out anytime soon, at least, of both of them. So here I'm just going to go fire off a Brave Bird, as he is going to take some damage. I am confident that he is probably going to well, even if he does go for a skull, the chances are he won't burn me. And with the Darkrai being weakened, I don't need Crobat as much. But here, since Mega Metachamp still is a little bit of a threat, and I would like to be able to have the Oko potential still versus it, I am just going to start going for the U-turns here because I don't want to get skull burned. I would like to keep my pieces as healthy as possible because really his team has like no reliable recovery whatsoever. If that's Roost Scizor, that's the only thing that has reliable recovery. So if I can just play the sort of tank offense game like my team is built to have an option to do, then I can play with that as well. So here I'm going to go out to my Volcanion. He's going to go for a substitute here, and that's completely fine. I can roar this thing out, and it'll only be at 40% health, so really it's going to be chipped down into pretty much range of my +1 Grindium Z Zygarde. And that's going to be super nice, as again, as I said, Zygarde, even though it's not the main one con, I can function as it on this team, and that's what I really like on this team, is that I really allowed myself a lot of options. So here I am going to force in the Scizor. Again, a really great one to force in here, as I'm pretty sure this just gives me a free Scald, as really there's nothing much that the Scizor can do. I am a little bit scared of this Scizor being some sort of Life Orb, Hidden Power Fire lure for my Mega Scizor, because he needs to have something for my Mega Scizor. You just can't have all these Pokemon that just are trying to beat it down with brute force. You can't really do that to a Mega Scizor, something that's so naturally bulky. You need to have some sort of fire coverage, so I am expecting that. But here, I don't want my Volcanion to get too weakened. Again, it is a good response to the Scizor, and if needs be, it can be used to trade with the Darkrai due to it also taking Life Orb and burn damage. So I do need to keep Volcanion to some extent healthy. So here I'm going to go out into my Sylveon, as once again, as he's actually going to pull the switch into the Heligo, as I just go for the obvious Hyper Voice, since really it doesn't matter if he's making these really impressive switches predicting me, because I still have the upper hand, knowing that I have the potential to Wish Pass, so knowing that I have the ability to be able to fire off a lot of Toxics. As here I go out into my Scizor, knowing that he's not going to go for the Hidden Power Fire, as I'm going to actually make a double, since I don't want to get hit with a Titanium Z, since that would really hurt. As here he actually reveals the Natural Gift Fire, so that was his way pretty much to hit my Mega Scizor, and I know now that pretty much from the Natural Gift Fire, this Scizor has lost its real trick up its sleeve, and it's really not going to have much to hit my Mega Scizor, since that was its one-time opportunity. So I'm kind of patting myself on the back, even though that's not really why I made the play, but I mean, I kind of was in a way for the Hidden Power Fire play as well. But since I did expect him to go out into Suicune, I just decided to fire off a Toxic. In hindsight, I was predicting a little bit, because I could have actually got 2 Scalds off in this turn. But I mean, I still stand by my play, just due to the fact that I got so much momentum out of a potential Toxic play if he did decide to go out into the Mega Cham or the Suicune. So here he's just going to be able to knock me out 2 IQ with a +2 Bug Bite. But I'm pretty confident that my Mega Scizor, due to its natural bulk and some of the investment that I put into it, I should be able to take a +2 attack from this Scizor, since it should have Root, Bullet Punch, Bug Bite, and then the Natural Gift Fire. So here I am going to be able to try and set up a Swords Dance on this Scizor, as he is going to actually show to be speedier than mine, so he's very fast. I only put enough speed on the Scizor to outspeed like min speed Suicune, so he definitely got me there in the speed creep wars. But here I'm going to set up a Sword Stance. He's not doing enough damage to knock me out with the second one, so here he's going to be forced to go for another Sword Stance, as here, due to my overall higher attack stats, my Bug Bite is actually going to be able to knock out the Scizor, so that is absolutely huge. Scizor dropping is going to really help out my Zygarde, as actually the door has been paved quite nicely for Zygarde. All I really need is damage off from the Diggersby, and my team should be able to do the rest versus his. So here, again, as I've already explained from the team builder, my Mega Scizor is designed to 1v1 this Suicune, so I am just going to be able to go for a Roost, as he crits me, so I'm glad that I went for the Roost there instead of going for the attack, since I could have been ranged for the Diggersby quick attack depending on his set. As here he gets another crit as I decide to go for the U-turn again, just trying to remain healthy. As even if he does burn me, I know that the bug bite should be able to do a lot of damage, to the point where pretty much he will have to sack one Pokemon, or he has to risk switching in on a potential +4 Mega Scizor with a burn. But here I'm just going to go for one final roost, as he did crit me twice. I don't want to be crit again, as he's not getting any skull burns. So he's got 2 crits, but he hasn't got any 30% skull burns, which is quite hilarious when you think about it statistically. As here he is going to fire off another skull, and I am going to be able to set up my sword stance, trying to basically nullify the effects of the burn if he did get it. And this would pretty much mean that I can still threaten a lot of the Pokemon that he might want to switch in, like the DGBA, as the combination of the +4 bug bite, despite it being burnt into Bullet Punch, will be able to knock that out. So really, it's just making sure that I have enough offensive momentum versus this team that I can be able to go for the Zygarde when calling that has quickly emerged to be a viable and a straightforward option for my team. So here, even though he's going to be gaining a lot of leftovers recovery, I am going to be able to just set up on it, as I am going to be able to get up to the +4. I'm going to go for one final roost to supplement the fact that if he does burn me again, then at least I will be able to have the health to combat his team. As he's gotten very unlucky, I think he's gotten like 7 skulls, 8 with this one, and he hasn't been able to burn me. So here I'm just going to get off one final roost, making sure that I'm going to be out of range of things like the Mega Medicham, DGBA, and even Darkrai's priority. So here I am going to fire off a bug bite. Even if he burns me this turn, I should be able to put it into a KO range, and again I can 1v1 it, as it is going to be only doing 30% with the skull plus burn damage. So he's very unfortunate in the fact that it doesn't get the skull burn, and I am very apologetic for that. I do apologize to him, definitely, but I do think it would have really changed the end game of this, because my Zygarde still would have been able to what's it saying? My Zygarde still would have been able to pretty much clean up this game, as he has shown that his DGBA is going to be the response, and Bullet Punch does put it into range of a extreme speed. I can also decide to go for the Dragonance on it if needs be. Sorry to hear something in the background. I think people are mowing the lawn, but here I'm pretty much just going to be able to finish off the game with 2 final Bullet Punches, as his team has been worn down into range of that. But yeah, my Mega Scizor, I believe, it has got 6 kills this game, which is insane. Mega Scizor definitely proving itself to be an offensive threat, as I believe I brought a defensive more at the start of the league, and now I'm really appreciating its natural bulk to allow it to supplement its offensive playstyle with sword stance and its really nice Bullet Punch priority. So that's pretty much it. GG to my opponent. I'm sorry that you got hacks. It definitely was unfortunate. You probably would have been able to get the differential lower to maybe a 3-0 or a 2-0 if that was the case, where my Mega Scizor actually did get burnt one of the earlier turns. But as I say in the chat, that is redemption, however, for missing 2 Super Fights, getting crit and frozen last week. So yeah, another reason why you should watch last video, because that was definitely a statistical anomaly that happened to me. Something that hopefully I can say will never happen to me again. But that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching this video. Question of the day is, what is your favorite setup user in Draft League format? I have got a Zygarde. I have showcased it being able to perform its own sweeps previously, as well as the Mega Scizor. There's definitely a few other setup sweepers that I do like that aren't on this team. So let me know down in the comments, what is your favorite setup sweeper to use in Draft League format. That's pretty much it. However, if you did enjoy the video, please do remember to leave a like. It definitely helps me out and lets me know you guys are enjoying these videos during quarantine, as well as that also be able to drop a subscription with a notification bell on, so you never miss one of these videos. And if you are wondering what time these videos are out at, it is 6 PM BST. So I'm not really sure how that translates. It translates into your time zone. You can look it up online, and you should be able to get a pretty quick answer. But that's pretty much it. Week 9 should be up next week versus my good friend Alan, so that'll be fun to commentate. But that's pretty much me. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.